Good morning. Okay, we established that. Now, we said a joint venture is a business relationship between two or more persons in which they come together to undertake a business venture for the main aim of making profit. So we said it is closely related to partnership, but this is more temporal, okay, than the partnership, in the sense that the partnership can last longer, but for a joint venture, once the purpose for which it was established have been established, achieved, they can end it. Okay. Now, I remember the last time I was discussing on the bookkeeping entries, and I was giving an illustration. Let me start from there. Now, I said, for instance, if we have two individuals that are come together to undertake a joint venture, now we said they will have to open each account for themselves. Now, in each of the accounts, you record all their expenses at the debit side and their entitlement. Now, their entitlement can be a share of profit, commission, and their expenses they incurred on behalf of the business. Okay, let's say, for instance, this person paid for loading, this person paid for carriage. Now, the same thing, this can have a share of profit, commission. This person paid for purchases, and this is 1,000. Let's say share of profit is 500, commission 500. This is 500. Now, what I want you to know is that when it comes to the venture, their expenses they incurred and their entitlements are recorded at the debit side, while any sales made are recorded on the what? Credit side. Any sales made. Now, there is what we call memorandum joint venture. Now, the memorandum joint venture is where the collective values of all these are recorded. Now, as a matter of fact, this is where they generate their share of profit. For instance, now look up. If while they are into business, they said will be paid for loading charge. Now it will be recorded there at also at debit as loading 500. The same thing, Ada paid for the purchases, it will be recorded here together, purchases 1,000. Now, Obi also paid for carriage, it will be recorded there, carriage as 1,000. Okay, now that is 1,000, 1,500. Now, let's say Obi made sales from the item, let's say sales of 5,000. It will also be recorded there as sales of 5,000. So what it means basically is that this memorandum joint venture still follows same principle. You record the debit side for all expenses and the credit side for sales made. Now, if there are unsold stock, for instance, stock that are not sold, it is also recorded at the credit side. Now, if the credit side is greater than this side, which is the expenses, they have as a profit. Now, the joint venture, they have what we call profit or loss ratio. And what that means is that if they have profit, that is the ratio they will use. If they incur loss, that is also the ratio they will use. Let's say the ratio is, let's say the ratio is 2:1. Okay? 2:1. Now, we want to determine the profit for this. Now, this is 5,000. Now, 1,000 plus this, 2,000 plus 500 is what? 2,500. Okay? 2,500. Okay, let's say they share profit equally. Equally will be 1/2. That's half. So 2,500. So what it means is that what you do here is what we call share of profit. So the profit is 2,500. So it will be shared between them. Let's say we have Obi and Ada. So 2,500 will now be 1/2 times 2,500. So this will give us what? 1,250. Okay? And that the same thing, 1/2 times 2,500. This will give us what? 1,250. So that when you add this together, it becomes 2,500. So that this will become what? 5,000. Now, this is the joint. Now, their share of profit, this amount will be taken to each of their accounts. Now, this is 1,250. Now, what will be written here is 1,250. The same thing, let me remove this commission. For Ada, 1,250, what will be written here is 1,250. Now, how do we close the account? Now, listen, I'm just giving you an illustration of how the joint venture exists. Now, look up. While they are preparing this person does not know what is here. And also, this person does not know what is here, because they are preparing their accounts individually. So, as at this time, this person does not know if he has received more than what he is supposed to receive or less than. While this same person also do not know if she has received more than what she's supposed to or less than. Now look up. Now, on a normal, their debit and credit is supposed to balance automatically. Now, if it doesn't balance, and let's say a venturer, because each of the individual is called co-venturer. Let's say a venturer have a debit balance. By debit balance, we mean the debit side is greater than the credit side. It means he has received less than what he or she is supposed to receive. If a venturer has a credit balance, meaning the credit is greater than the debit, it means he or she has received more than what they are supposed to receive. So he's supposed to collect from the other person. Now let's take for instance, the credit side there is 5,000. This is 5,000. Why here, if you add this, what do we have? 2,750, which is greater? 5,000, right? So it means the credit side is greater than the debit side, meaning Obi has received more than he is supposed to receive. He has a credit balance. So the balance, or what will make this aspect become 5,000, will be sent to Ada to complete his money. Now, the same way, if we check here, there's nothing at the credit side. Ada here have 1,000 plus 1,250 is what? 2,250 plus 500 is what? 2,750, right? So it means he has a debit balance, because his debit side is greater than what? Credit side. Meaning he has incurred more than he has received from the business. So he's supposed to receive money from this person. And let me repeat. If a co-venturer have a credit balance, meaning that his credit side is greater than his debit side, it means he has received more than he is supposed to. Why, if another person have a debit balance, meaning his debit side is greater than the credit side, it means he has received less than what he's supposed to receive. So he's supposed to expect money from the other party. Now, if this is 5,000, I will say this is 2,000 what? 750. Now, to balance it up, what will be the balance here? 2,750, right? Huh? It is 5,000 minus 2,750. Now, what's the value? Why not when they look like say, I'm eating this morning? Huh? I never chop. Yes. Me too, I never chop. Okay. Now look up. So it is now, we call it cash remittance to Ada 2,750. It's not 350. 2,000 what? 2,250. 2,250. So that when we add this together, this becomes what? 5,000. So this value now will now be sent to Ada. So it becomes cash remittance from Obikereke. How much is it? 2,250. So that when we now add together, it balances itself. Okay? Of course, if you add it, this is 2,750 because I just framed the question. But that's how it's supposed to be. Now, let me restate what we have just seen. What we have seen is that when two persons come together, they have a joint account. Each person prepares their own individually, but they have a joint account where the totality of what they have done is being posted to. Now, this is where they get their share of profit. It is sent to their individual account. Now, on a normal, it is supposed to balance what they have received and what they incur. But if it doesn't balance, it means it might either be a debit balance or credit balance. Now, if the credit side is greater than the debit side, it means there's a credit balance, meaning that venturer has received more. You're supposed to send the balance to other parties that have received what? Less. Any question on that? Okay, now let's continue. Right. The bookkeeping entries. Bookkeeping entries. In recording the joint venture, are you there? In recording the joint venture, each venturer is required to open a joint venture account in his book. This account will be debited with all his expenses as well as other entitlements. This account will be debited with all his expenses as well as other entitlements from the venture, such as share of profits, commissions, and interest on advances. Are you there? Why it is credited with the money received, why it is credited with the money received on behalf of the joint venture. With the money received on behalf of the joint venture. Full stop. Any share of loss and interest on money received are also credited to it. Full stop. Paragraph right. After preparation of the individual venturer's accounts, the profit or loss is prepared. The profit or loss account is prepared. And it is called Memorandum Joint Venture Account. The Memorandum Joint Venture Account is debited with all the trading expenses and credited with the total sales. Full stop. Any unsold stock is also credited to it. And where this unsold stock is taken over by a venturer at agreed price, it should be credited to their account also. Okay? So, like the illustration I gave, while preparing the joint venture account, you get their share of profit and send to each of their accounts. Okay? Now let's see a question. From our test. Are you there? From our test in page what? 1222. 122. Right. You already have in your text. Jim, Roy, and Andy is in your textbook. Is one what? 119. Okay, this is a new one. 119. So is there Jim, Roy, and Andy entered into joint venture. Jim, Roy, and Andy entered into joint venture and agreed to share profits and losses. Which hold on? Only hold on. Now pick two. Are you there? I'm not dictating, you have it in your text. Jim, Roy, and Andy entered into joint venture and agreed to share profit and loss in the ratio of 2:1:1, right? Respectively. They bought 100 bales of stockfish at 1,000 naira each from a Lagos-based importer. Jim paid 50,000, Roy paid 30,000, and Andy paid how much? 20,000. In addition, Jim paid loading charges 3,000 and Andy paid transport charges 8,000. Warehouse expenses, which amounted to 1,300, was paid by Roy. Andy sold 60 bales of stockfish at 1,400 each. The remaining were sold by Roy at what? You are required to prepare a memorandum joint venture showing the result of the what? Venture, and also prepare joint venture account in the ledgers of Jim, Roy, and what? Andy. Okay? So that is what we want to do now. Now, while you're preparing this, okay, ensure you, so I don't get confused, ensure you draft out all at the same time. So they ask us to prepare. What's the name of this business? The name of the owners? Jim, Roy, and Andy. Okay? So we'll start with memorandum joint venture. Are you there? Memorandum joint venture. Okay. So we said in Jim's ledger, joint venture with Roy and Andy. Now this is for Jim, because into the Jim. The next one, in Roy's ledger, joint venture with Jim and Andy. The next one, in Andy's ledger, joint venture with Jim and Roy. Okay? Now please follow me so that we'll see how they get that. Now read the question. So they said their profit or loss ratio is 2:1:1, right? So it means for Jim it is 2, for Roy it is 1, and is what? Okay, the same way their name goes. Okay, continue. They bought 100 bills. Now remember the quantity 100, okay, of stockfish at what? At 1,000 naira each. Okay, so they incurred 1,000 times 100. Continue.
From a Lagos-based importer.
Okay, from a Lagos-based importer. Continue. Okay. Now they said Jim paid what? How much? 50,000. So purchases paid by Jim will record in Jim's ledger. How much is it? 50,000. The same thing will appear here. So purchases, it was paid by Jim 50,000. Are we there? Continue. Roy paid 30,000. So in Roy, the same thing. Roy purchases how much? 30,000. So purchases, Roy paid 30,000. Are we there? The next one. Andy purchases 20,000. Andy 20,000. Did you get that? Okay. The next one. So Jim paid loading charges. That's an expenses. Remember, I will say we debit their expenses to their account. So for Jim, it is loading charges. How much is it? 3,000. So we are going to put it there also. Loading charges paid by Jim. How much is it? 3,000. Did you get that? The next one.
And Andy paid transport charges, 8,000.
So Andy paid transport charges. So we'll come here, transport, and the debit also, since it's an expense. How much?
8,000.
8,000. So we'll come here also, transport. Andy, how much?
8,000.
8,000. Continue.
Warehouse expenses, which amounted to 1,300, was paid by Roy.
So Roy paid warehouse. So you see how they share the expenses. Warehouse, how much?
1,300.
1,300. So come here, the same thing. Warehouse by Roy, 1,300. Okay? Continue now. Okay. At 1,400 now. They said Andy sold, right? Okay. So this is Andy. He made sales. Is it Andy or Roy? Andy sold. So he made sales. So remember, we say sales recorded at the credit side, right? Okay. How much is it?
For each.
How many? 60. Huh? So it will now be 60 times. How much did they sell it? 1,400. So it will be 1,400. So 60 times 1,400. What do we have? Huh? 84,000. Okay, so that's 84,000. Now the same thing you recorded at the credit side of the memorandum joint. So we now have sales by Andy, 84,000. Okay, what's the next one? So if you remember, they said they bought how many? 100. They have sold how many? 60. How many is remaining? 1. Okay, thank you. So they said the remaining, they didn't mention. That's 40. Was sold by what? Roy. So we come here, sales at how much? Did you tell us the price? 1,380. So we said 40 times 1,380, right? So 40 times this, what do we have? 55,200. So we still come here also, Abi. So right. So we've already written sales. We just say Roy, how much? 200. Is that all? That's all. Okay. Now we now have to balance this account. They have to get their share of profit. So what do we do? Now we do that in the memorandum joint venture, which is the profit or loss account. Remember, in case they ask you, we said this is where they share their profit. Okay. Now there is profit only when their credit side is greater than their debit side. Remember, sales, their credit side comprises of what they receive as the money, while the debit side is what expenses they incurred. Right? Okay. So if we do that, we now have 84,000 plus 55,200. What do we have? 139,200. Right? Okay. 139,200. So we are going to add these expenses. Add for me. This is 100. 1 like this. Are you sure? Okay. So if this is 139,200 and the expenses is 112,300, it means here is greater than this, right? So what is the balance? Get me the balance. 26,900. So it is this 26,900 is the profit, and it is this profit that will be shared between these people in this ratio. So what do? We come here and we write share of profit. So how are we going to share the profit? They already gave us a formula, a ratio. So we said for Jim, so what you have to do is to add. Now this is 2 plus 1 plus 1. So what do we have? 4. So their total is 4. Right? So for Jim ratio is 2. over the total, which is what? Times 26,900. So what do we have? 13,450, right? So that's for Jim. The next one is for who? Roy. The same thing. Now Roy will now have what? 1/4. Thank you. Times 26,900. What do we have? 6,000. What's in at the top? 725. Okay. Now we now do for Andy the same thing. 1/4, right? Times 26,900. 6,725. Now, if you add this together, it's supposed to give you 26,900. If it doesn't give you that, what you did was wrong. So now I have 26,900. So that when we add everything here, this becomes what? 139,200. Are we there? Okay. Now the next thing you have to do now is to carry this now, their share of profit, and give to them individually. So the first one is Jim, 30,450. So we'll come here, share of profit, 13,450, right? Okay. Now Roy, the same thing, share of profit. How much is it? 6,725. The next one, share of profit. How much is it? 6,725. Okay. Now, it's not left for us now to balance. To balance their individual account. Remember, we said on a normal, it is supposed to balance automatically. But because some persons received more than what was due to them and some received less than. So how do we indicate that? So we come here. Now already, this is a debit balance. Because we have a debit, there's nothing at the credit side. So it means he incurred, he did not receive anything yet. Okay? So it means whatever that we come here will be from this and this. So how do we do this now? Now look up. So if we add up now, help me add, okay, this is 55,200. 55,200. Help me add this. What do we have? 30 what? 38,025 naira like this. Eh? Okay. So it means that the credit side is greater than the debit side. Right? So it means Roy had a credit balance, meaning he received more than what he's supposed to receive. So the balance amount will be sent to Jean. So what do? We said the balancing figure. So 55,200 minus 38,025 now. What do we have? So it will now be cash remittance to Jean. How much is it? 175. Like this? So if we add this, this becomes 55,200. Right? So these amounts now will come here. So it will now be cash remittance from who? Roy. How much is it? 17,175. Right? Okay. That is one. Now we are going to balance this also. To balance this now, also, we have this as 84,000. What is the debit side? What's the value there? 34,725. Okay? So it means the credit side is greater than the debit side, meaning there's a what? A credit balance. So we are going to get the difference. So 84,000 minus 34,725. What do we have? Huh? 275. Huh? Okay? So it will now be cash remittance to who? To Jim. So if we balance this, this will give us 84,000. So this amount now will come to Jim. So it will now be cash remittance from who? Andy. How much? 275. So that when we now add there for me 66,450. Add there for me 66,000. You sure? No, say you just call value. You no get calculator, they call number. Huh? What's yes? Is it that you are concurring to you no get calculator, they call number, or huh?
That's 49.
What's 49?
49.
This one.
Yes.
You are the one that called that value. Huh? What I had is 45. You say 49. I had 45. So here they pay me. What's there as what? 49. And I asked you to confirm it. Some of you are just calling number. What's still correct? How is it correct? If it's 49, it cannot. If it's 45, it cannot be correct. So 40, that person will call that is this thing. If you add this, what would that be the value? 66 what? Okay. So you now see that it balances automatically, right? Okay. So film and well, it's in unbalance. Are we there? So that is the joint venture account. Any question on that? Any question? Okay. Write that. Let's move to consignment. We still have more things to cover. But before the exam, we might have one day to just solve some exercise, past questions.